Welcome to the Mahoney Matters Sports Show. I'm editor Chris Pugh. Got Mike Brown with me. Mike, it's summer. It's getting nice outside. How are you doing?
I'm doing real great, Chris. Boy, and it's been a spring for state champions in the Mahoning
Yes.
Valley. What a great spring it's been.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. In football and basketball, we had good seasons. But I think in some ways, other than softball, we kind of overlooked spring for state titles. We were like, oh, it's not football season anymore.
Yeah,
But man, we had two softball state champs in Austin Fitch and Canfield.
yep,
We talked to the coaches last week, and over the weekend, we had another state champ in
yep,
West Branch.
right.
And it was interesting. West Branch has always kind of been near the top of our baseball
Yep,
rankings, but they weren't. I bet if we had practice where we said, let's pick the one team we think will win, maybe they weren't the first team we would have thought of, but they didn't even win the Eastern Buckeye Conference. But
right. Yeah,
man, they caught fire in the state tournament and they won, and
yep,
they well deserved the win.
yeah.
Mike, you were up there for the semi and the state game
Hmm.
over the weekend. What was your overall takeaway? We could talk about individual things that happened, but what was your overall takeaway of the team?
Yeah.
How they did?
Well, if you're a West Branch fan, that was great. I tell you what, I bet they brought, especially for the final on Sunday, I'll bet there were 3,000 West Branch people. That stadium, Canal Park in Akron holds, I believe, 7,700 or it's in that ballpark. And I'll bet 3,000 West Branch people were there. It was amazing. I'll be surprised if there wasn't a school that had a bigger draw than West Branch did. I mean, they really, and they really enjoyed that. They really got into that, and that game kind of typified their last three tournament games where they were either tied or down late in the game and came back and won those last three games. I think the last three games, I believe they were either tied or behind in the sixth inning and won all three games, including the game against Hamilton Badin on Sunday. What a great comeback that was.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about Hamilton Badin. I think they haven't won a state title for a while, but it was interesting. They literally haven't had
There's Rick.
give up any runs.
Sorry, guys.
Oh,
Oh
no
no,
problem, Rick.
I, I I know you're not going to believe me, but I was just with Jostens. We were designing our ring.
Oh, designing the
Oh,
ring. Good for you.
So,
That's great. That's
so
good.
we were talking about what we were going to do. I'm like, I got to go do a thing here. Are we live or are you recording this?
we're
Yep,
recording
we're
it.
live. Yep.
Yeah, but let me introduce you, Rick Mulinix, the head coach of West Branch baseball team. Just talking about you, bringing back the state title back home to West Branch.
Right.
Man, how you feeling today?
Let me see here.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
there we go.
Still
I
have
got
it.
the trophy.
Just for
Yep,
a little bit more.
there you go.
Man, how is it a day after it happened? I know you won the title on Sunday morning, but how you feel the day afterwards?
Actually, I haven't left. We had a party last night. We had a good get together, so it was fun.
I'll bet.
Okay.
Say it like that. It was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Have you got? I know you said last week, you probably wouldn't realize this till on the ride home and stuff like that. Is it sunk in now, Rick?
You know what? Where it sunk in the most was just now. Whenever I was designing the ring with a guy.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I know you guys are gonna think I'm crazy and I'm lying about this, but I wrote my my banquet speech, which I gave half of it last night because we were there at a party and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I wrote it 2 months ago.
Wow.
Oh,
I
wow.
kind of knew the stuff. The outcome of the season wasn't really the focal point of what I was gonna. And I know you can. 2 weeks ago. Sorry, my daughter's. 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you're fine.
It might have been after regionals. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to check out some championship rings just to see what they would look like. And I started looking. I mean, I didn't want to jinx myself, and I can't believe I'm telling you guys I did this, but
Right.
I went on and looked at them. It's like, hey, wouldn't this be crazy if you get a chance to actually design one for us to have?
Yeah.
So here we
That's
were.
cool. That's pretty cool. Rick, do you remember? Were you at when West Branch? It's funny. The number 4 has been very good to West Branch. They won the state football title in 1994, the girls basketball title in 2004, and now the baseball title in 2024. How about that? I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, for for the other teams at West Branch, I sure as heck it was not 20 more years. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
actually, you
Hey,
know
but
what?
Rick,
If
I
we
gotta
get one
ask-
I don't know if we get one in football this year, technically it's still 20 years.
well, that's
There
true.
you
That's
go.
a
Same
good
year,
point.
right?
Are they planning a community celebration of any kind, Rick? Have you heard word of anything like that?
Yeah, I had that. I kind of thought this stuff, not, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I kind of thought, I'm like, hey, tomorrow's gonna be a normal day for me. I'm not gonna, but I'm 1480. I think
Mhm.
is I'm doing a live thing with them today at 4:00 on the radio, and then
Yeah.
with you guys, and then we've had already Oasis in Salem. They want to feed us and let us have some golf for free.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Halisco's in Salem. Helm just texted me. I think it's the Curbstone Coaches Association wants us to come over on Monday to do that.
Right.
They talked about community send off, but we just what Mike, were you here when we came back or not? I don't know if you were.
No, I was working on my story, as a matter of fact.
Okay. What we came home to was probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire life,
Neat.
as far as athletics goes. Before she forgets, Dudley's, the pizza place in Damascus, Dudley, they offered every kid and coaches anytime this week can come in and get a free pizza.
Oh, wow.
Everybody. So I'm sure that's not going to stop. And you know what, I'll come back to that, but I know I'm rambling here, but
Oh, you're fine.
today was going to, when we were at the party last night, I remember talking to Alizos and I said, it's going to be weird. Tomorrow they're not going to be together.
Yeah.
Like today, they're not together. They've been together
Right.
every day for like 3.5 months. And really the last 2 weeks, they've been together almost every day, all day. They've ate together. They've slept together. I mean, it's like,
sure.
and then today they're going to get up. We just won the state title and they're like, where's my buddies? And they're not here. So the good news is, we got to get a team picture so we can hang in the lobby because we hang a state championship, Mike, the ones we have in there. So we're going to have to get together, do that. We're going to have to get together for these dinners, which is awesome. But what we came home to last night, Mike, where you're familiar with the area. So when we got to Deerfield Circle, I thought every fire truck in Northeast Ohio sent us off. I don't know how many there were, but we got to Deerfield Circle at 2:00 and we didn't pull into West Branch till 2:30. Now, typically that's like a 12-minute drive, maybe 10 minutes. It took a half hour. Because of how many people and the amount of trucks that we got, welcomed home to from the time we got into Beloit, it was very emotional for me and the kids too. I mean, just seeing the support, like it's crazy, right? And then we went in the locker room, we come out and they're all outside the back of the school. There was 200 people out there waiting for us to come out.
That's
cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
What was the party like last night? Did you guys just go out to eat and just kind of enjoy life together?
No, there was one of the parents we had a food truck, a DJ.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Very nice. Awesome.
Big time.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
I know. Isn't that kind of, again, a little bit. I think we were having a party regardless, win or lose. I mean, because if we had lost, it's still, Badin.
Oh, great year. Yeah.
It's still a great year.
That's amazing that 2 of the 3 state titles for West Branch were against Hamilton Badin. When you think of all the schools in Ohio, and 2 of the 3 times it rolled up those same 2 teams. That's incredible.
Well, a million things we could talk to you about. Like, first of all, Hamilton Badin, it was interesting. Then talk about them beforehand. They have not given up a run at all in the baseball tournament.
Actually, they didn't give up a run almost except for one inning.
Yeah, that's true.
One inning.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, especially in baseball. Sometimes, like softball, you get a run like that. How did you guys go into a game like that? I know you guys were a little bit slower in the first 5-6 innings. What was the strategy going to it? I'm sure you had a tall order, but what did you tell the guys to say, hey, what do you need to do to hopefully overcome this team?
You mean going into the 7th inning or going into the game?
Well, even going into the game, because, again, you always hear about their pitching going into the game.
Right.
How do you guys approach that?
As far as the game plan or approach, I like to run a lot too. We do a lot. And one thing that I talk to the kids, I'm like, when do you notice we can't run? And they're like, whenever we're losing. And I said, well, they like to play small ball. They were a huge small ball team. If you looked at their lineup 1 through 9, they look almost like 9 identical players, not real big, athletic, but very fast guys who put the ball in play. They like to bunt a lot. They like to slash bunt. And if you get a lead on a team like that, they can't do that.
Right.
So that was actually the game plan. Well, that didn't work. But the other part of that game plan is you can't do that if you get the leadoff guy out. And I think Anthony, defensively, we got the lead. I have to look at the dugout chart. But I think 5 maybe of the innings, 4, for sure we got the leadoff hitter out, which takes that equation as far as the sack bunt, do something, stupid. And they did. The one run they got, it was a leadoff. I mean, how about that? I mean, he walks a kid, right? Sack bunt him the second, and then he balks, and it's a fly ball to center. And I remember looking at Sean and go, we're going to lose the state championship game because of a balk and a walk. That's going through your head because as good as he pitched, you shouldn't have to think about, I mean? Like, he threw the ball so well. But, Mike, you did the stats. We didn't have a strikeout.
Right.
All 21 outs, so we got defensively.
That is amazing to think about. Yeah, in a state title game.
And that was actually talked about the night before. We're like, their schedule that they play, they get everybody, they played Alder and, all.
That's one of the best baseball areas in Ohio. And I was reading this morning that the best players in Hamilton, and they get probably the best in Ohio, are gravitating to Badin now, where they used to gravitate to another school. So what you beat yesterday was some really good baseball players.
They did like a youth camp last week, and there was a picture of on their Twitter page, and I swear I'm like, look at this. There's like 350 kids there. And I'm like, we don't have that many kids in our school and at their youth baseball camp. But that was something that we did discuss. With Perry's velo, it's not either Bo. I mean, I bet you if you look at the team that won the state title in all 4, and you added their top 2 pitchers velo up, we're probably the last. I mean. Right. Yeah. But you know what? They're probably 2 of the better pitchers.
Yeah. They know how to pitch.
They know how to pitch.
They won't break the radar gun, but they know how to pitch.
They know how to pitch.
Great location, things like that.
And so we were thinking like, hey, maybe his velo is lower than what they've seen. Mm-hmm. So they're going to hit a lot of pop-ups and ground balls. And that's what they did.
They did. Absolutely.
So when you guys were on offense, was the thought of, hey, could we get an early run or 2? So we grab that early lead. Was that kind of offensively?
I was concerned about the velo. I mean, we hadn't seen 80. And I remember looking up I tried not to look at it too much, but I wanted to gauge where we were at to see what how we were doing. I know Boston's first at bat. I looked up. I saw 88 a couple times. Did he go above 88?
Yeah.
Did he go above 88?
He was in the. I saw 87, 88. Yeah. Okay. He was pretty consistent.
Okay, so I just remember our first inning. Boston struck out, but he fouled for like 3 balls straight back. Yeah. Then he swung at a slider and struck out, but I didn't think he looked overmatched. And then Tucker hits a ground ball, and then Hunter puts it in play. And we had no strikeouts besides Boston's, but a good at bat. And like I said, the slider. And I remember thinking to myself, I walked in, I go, we're going to be okay. Because, with all the emotions and stuff like that. And we didn't. I just put it this way to you: we didn't look overmatched the first. Don't get me wrong. We were no hit for 5 innings.
Yeah.
Okay, but Bo had a line drive to shortstop. His first. I mean, we were putting the ball in play.
Yeah, and really, the last 3 games, I believe, Rick, you were either tied or behind in the 6th inning. I mean, this team really, when it came crunch time, they found it. All the last 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, we tied it against Kenston in the 6th, right?
Yep,
won it in the 7th.
Yep.
We were down going into the 6th against Indian Creek and tied it and took the lead in that inning. And then, yesterday was in the 7th.
So they really, when a game's on the line, they raised to another level.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about, I always tell them some things I do in the dugout. And I actually did it yesterday. I was saying it out loud to him. I said, there's 21 outs. I don't know if I told you this yesterday, Mike, when we talked, but 21 outs, that was something that I, every inning, let's just come back in and say, this is what we need to do. And even when we were down 1-0, I'm like, guys, we just got to get 3 more, we got 6 more outs to get. We got to get that, that run. But just count the outs down. And then I mean, honestly, after we scored and then I went in the dugout and then the first fly ball to Carson White, he caught it and left. And I remember thinking to myself, holy cow, we have a chance to win this state. Like, that's when it kind of set in right there. I was like, we can do this.
Yeah. Well, that had to help you guys because, again, you were no hit after 5 innings.
Yeah.
The 6th inning, you had a guy caught off of second.
Yeah, 100 around the second too far.
Yeah.
We talk,
yeah.
It's not, base running, we like to be aggressive base runners. You cover us, we're aggressive. We run. And I like that. And you can't tell kids, you want them to be aggressive but smart. And sometimes you can't have both because they're 18 and 17-year-old kids. You can't say, hey, you'll be aggressive, but then you got to be smart in this situation. So when I told a lot of them, when you're going first to third on a ball that's hit the left field, I said, hey, it's up to you. I trust you because your read's faster than you looking at me and me telling you what to do. Mm-hmm. It's just especially to get the third. Yeah. And when we're playing, I don't want to say a specific team because any team in April, you probably just come to third on that because their left fielder is not Hamilton Badin's left fielder.
Right.
Playing on an outfield grass hadn't been cut in a week, so that ball is slower getting to the left fielder. Mm-hmm. And then you put it in perspective what it is. The ball got to the kid faster, and I think Hunter was thinking, "I'm gonna get the third," and he realized I'm not gonna make it.
Right.
Kind of hung up for a second, thinking the kid was gonna throw it the third, and he was just gonna, And it was a heads up play by their kid. They called for the ball and they got it. So, I mean,
Rick, did you ever think you'd win a state title on a wild pitch? That was
actually
how that all played out.
I tell you how I kind of thought stuff in my head, what I was going to say to the kids. I always envisioned anybody that knows me and follows us that we were going to have a first or third early steal and the kid was going to balk, and that's how we were going to win the state championship. In my head. But we weren't the home team. And I'm like, so you can't walk off on a first and third early steal because, Mike, we do that a lot. I actually didn't work for us against Indian Creek. They game planned for it well. I mean, they did their homework. They knew how to execute. The second time we weren't supposed to do it, but they still executed it right the first time.
Yeah. So, can you talk about that great West Branch crowd, Rick? I mean, that was almost like a home court advantage in Akron, Ohio yesterday. I bet you had between 2,000 and 3,000 West Branch fans in the stands.
I would like to know how many was there. Someone that got brought up last night. But Mike, isn't it what you expected?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I did. I mean, they asked me. They're like,
I believe it holds 7,700. Does Canal Park, and I think half of them were, half the stands were West Branch, but Badin may have had maybe, I don't know if they had 500 people in the stands, but West Branch just
public school, private school,
right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, that's why these state titles to public schools mean more because it's not about 15 kids from an area; it's about a whole community. Like. If Badin would have won, I promise you there wasn't 30 fire trucks and the roads lined up. In the Hamilton. I mean, that's that was probably, like I said, the coolest things yesterday was that. But the guy asked me, he's like, "Were you surprised?" I'm like, "No." I mean, that's exactly what I expected, and that's just our community.
Yeah,
so, I mean, it doesn't matter what sport.
Mm-hmm. So I was going to ask, going into the same thing then. So it sounded like you guys, the confidence was pretty high. Like you talked about, we have 21 outs. We need to use them. Is that what kind of kept the kids' heads up? Because I know, like speaking for myself, if I'm going to last inning, I'm losing 2-0. I have one hit. They caught me off base. Sometimes you'll be like, "Oh, woe is us." It's going to be hard for us to come back. But it sounded like you guys had the confidence up from the kids to say, "Hey, we can do it. We can come back on this team."
Yeah, I never really saw our confidence rattled yesterday.
Cool.
And I think that comes from Sean and I and other coaches too. I mean, like you said, we've come back and I don't know how many. So why would we not right now? And it's not like we weren't in the game.
Right.
I mean, it's not like we were down 7 and it's like reach. We were always in reach of it. I mean, there were several times we had guys on base. We had bases loaded. And then, because on the way back home, I'm like, "Hey, Bo, that'd have been really nice to get that hit with the bases."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yes, coach, you win some, you lose some." I said, "Yeah, I guess." I'm like, "You're a forward dribbler to second."
Yeah.
Because that's just, I'm going to miss we take vans, and those van rides for me are being with those kids.
Yeah.
It's like, because I remember we were somewhere probably right around Dairy Queen and in 14 right there coming back in Edinburgh.
Or Edinburgh. Yeah.
And Bo goes, I mean, are we really the best team in the Division II in the state of Ohio? And they're like, well, this says that we are right here. So
Yeah,
There you go.
that's
right.
That's you got going. So how does it feel? I mean, you announced beforehand this year, last year, so
Yeah.
it's got to be a little bittersweet, but it's got to feel good. I mean, at least
Yeah, what a way to go out, Rick.
Yeah, I mean,
right. If there was ever any doubt about it now, it's
right.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
but you
it's
said
still
you
about
plan
it.
to still be involved, right, Rick?
What's that?
You still plan to be involved with the program, correct?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
always be involved with the program.
Okay.
I mean, as long as whoever's in charge of it wants me around, they might tell me.
Okay.
I think they want a state champion coach around.
Yeah, you want a state title. I mean, it would help the
That looks pretty good on the resume.
I like
on the bench, you know what I mean?
I mean, I enjoy working on the field, dragging, edging.
Yeah, sure.
Our facility is really nice, and it needs to be kept. Painting things. Like I'm still around there to do that. Roll the infield for anything that they need. This is not just saying next year. I'm saying going forward. Scott Loudon, you guys know Scott, our basketball coach. I mean, he's the same as me. He's as green as they come as far as the pride in West Branch, and you have those people who still do things. Here, you want to hear a good story with Loudon and I?
Oh yeah, please, yeah.
So obviously we've been coaching together for a long time. I hope he gets to hear this. So he his first game coaching at West Branch this year, can't remember who we were playing, but we were up like 20. And our basketball office and baseball office is the same office. We share it. Like he has it, and then they move out and we go in. So it was like second quarter, we're up 20. So I run down. We always joke about, hey, it's the baseball office, it's a basketball office, and back and forth. So I run down and I grab a baseball and I take a Sharpie and I write, "Nice start, don't F it up." And I set it on the desk. And and I come back out and we're up like 6. And I was like, uh-oh. I'm like, I just set this thing in there. We're up 20 and now they're only up 6. So they won the game and it sat on his desk the entire year. When I come in there, it was there. So then on Friday against Indian Creek, I'm coming in from the dugout in the first inning, and Loudon's in our dugout. And he has a ball, and he goes, he's like, "Hey, Ricky," and he tossed me the ball like it's a game ball. Yeah. So I grab it and I start walking to the umpire, and he's going, "No, no, 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 no." And I'm like, "What?" And I look at it, and it was that ball.
Oh no!
I was going to give the umpire a ball that said, "Don't."
Oh my god! Oh my goodness!
You may not see me in the game then. Wow.
He's like, "No, no, 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 don't give it to him." So just our coaching staff, but like I actually want to go back because I don't want to talk about the kids that last inning. How about the bottom of our order, our 7, 8, 9 guys?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Gavin Bell got 2 sack bunts down, and that was an issue we were having for a few weeks. We couldn't get sack bunts down, and we tried. But he got 2 big ones for us. The first one we didn't get anything out of it, but he did the job. And I actually told the kids the last inning. I knew they were going to bring that righty in. They have done, because I know he's probably. If you go to, do you think their coach is getting questioned right now why they pulled that kid?
Yeah, I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he shouldn't, because that's what they had done 12 times. And that kid he pitched in the regionals, the exact same thing. He pitched in the districts. Mm-hmm. So that's what they did. He came in and closed the last inning from that kid, and he was successful, I think, the entire year. And then the one time he doesn't, he's not. This coach is, he's going to be getting questioned. But that's what you do as a coach. You make those decisions, and why would he not think that was going to work again? It had worked all year. So I knew we were going to see him. I knew he threw sidearm. I knew he threw a 2-seamer that's going to tail. I also caught a lot of guys that threw like that myself, and I know how hard it is to catch them sometimes because the ball does sink in on you, and then the slider will run away. So you're basically, depending on what you throw, you're going to be working either in or out, for the 2-seamer or the sweeper slider that the kid had. Yeah. And it's tough for kids to catch. They have 2 catchers. They split the year. That kid actually didn't start in the state semifinal game. The other kid got his hand cut. He was a 3-hole hitter. He only got the one at bat, and they subbed him out.
Okay.
He was the catcher. So they flipped the DH and the catcher, if that makes sense. Carmelo was the DH in the state semifinal. Yes. and Anderson was the catcher. They just flipped it for the finals because Anderson couldn't catch.
Okay.
Don't be wrong, Carmelo's still really good, but again, you're a backup pitcher in theory in the state semifinal game.
Sure.
I just asked the kids. I said, "Hey, listen, we're going to take until we get a strike. I mean, you're just sophomore on the mound in the state title game,
right
on the plate." I told him, I said, "Get on, put your toes on the white. Take until you get a strike. The two-seamer runs in on you. Wear it. Get us guys on base." And then the first pitch was a fastball inside to Charlie, and it was a strike. And I was like, "Dang, was he not on the plate?" And I don't know if he's on the plate or not. Then he cue balls one, and the spin of it. I mean, you guys ever seen that video of that ball?
Yeah, that was interesting. Yep.
It was like he was playing 9-ball or whatever, and off the rail.
Had quite a bit of English on it. Yep.
And then Jackson got the 4-pitch walk. Gav got the sack down. Started us. That gave us our shot.
That was an amazing.
It's not surprising to me that they gave up more. Any streak that you have in sports, as soon as it breaks, it seems like okay.
And it really breaks. Yeah.
And it really breaks.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that we got 3 after we got 1.
Yep.
Wow.
That was impressive, I'll tell you.
Mike and I was talking about this a few weeks back. I went to Louisville, and I'm an old man. It was probably I don't think the cars were invented at the time I went to Louisville. But the one thing that struck me was even when I went there, sometimes they frowned on kids playing multiple sports. And I don't know exactly how it is on every high school in the area right now, but sometimes that's not seen as much. You guys have that, and it seemed to help you. I mean, how much does it mean where, like Bo or your son, they can play different sports? How does that help the program out? Because I've seen that kind of hurt other programs where they don't let that happen. And you're like, wow, this kid could help us in other sports, but he only gets to play one. You guys do it differently. It really helps you out. What does that mean? Is it a good coaching relationship you have with others to say, hey, we're going to use this kid. They're going to be good. They're going to be fine. We're going to do our best to make sure they don't get hurt. I mean, why is it so different, West Branch? It seems to really help you guys out a lot.
Well, we talk about that amongst coaches. It's probably the same through other years about my generation, other generations.
Yeah.
We're always like, these kids get so much more training now.
Yeah.
Trainers, they have hitting coaches, there's indoor cages, they travel all over the place. But then we're like, but they're not better than what our team was. You know what I mean? And I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, the reason that they're, why are the high school teams not as good as they were 25 years ago is because 25 years ago, all your athletes played. They all. So they might not have been skilled in training, but you know what? High school sports, you ever heard the expression, it's not about X's and O's, it's about Jimmys and Joes?
Yeah.
If you can get 9 Jimmys and Joes on your baseball team, they might not be, the best baseball players, but they're going to help you because they're athletic. And so that's gone away at a lot of places. And there's a lot of reasons. Kids think they're specialized in one sport. Yeah. Coaches maybe aren't. I mean, holy crap. I mean, trust me, my son wants to play football. Look at the football schedule now. I mean, you're allowed to basically practice in May.
Right.
Yeah.
We have 7-on-7s in June. And I mean, that didn't happen back then. Football started August 1st.
That's right.
Right.
And then basketball started when football was over. Baseball started whenever basketball was over. Now look at a basketball schedule with summer leagues and football and 7-on-7.
Yep.
And so kids get hard, it's hard for baseball wise if you're a baseball player too, because you get pulled by, every coach says they want to share athletes until it's their turn to share them.
That's a good point. That is a very good point. One thing I will say, Chris, and we were having this discussion, we were thinking West Branch has had so many good athletes, years of athletes. And I think right now I would probably put the success, this group and maybe the last group and maybe the group coming might be the most successful in the history of the school. And that's saying a lot. But when you look at what this group has accomplished on the football field, in basketball, now in baseball, wow.
Well, and I know I go to the other high school, but I'll be honest with you, I wish it could be like that. Because I was a church youth pastor for a while. I coached some kids in intramural sports there, and it was unfortunate. I had kids I couldn't use. It wasn't like, oh, we can't share kids. It was more like you said, they're a good player. They understand that. Maybe, baseball isn't their number one sport, but they're an asset to your baseball because they get to play that. And you talk about also kids growing up together. To have your kids playing together in football, I had to help your baseball team.
Right.
So, yeah, I think West Branch does it right.
My message to them is usually, I understand baseball is not like at the end of the year, I'm like, guys, go play football, play basketball, play baseball. It might not be your favorite sport. Like,
right.
I'm going to try to use somebody like, let's just use Boston Anthony. Let's say Anthony's a baseball guy, plays football. Yeah. Boston's a football guy, plays baseball. Well, Boston needs Anthony to play football.
Yeah.
And Anthony needs Boston to play baseball.
Yeah.
For their teams to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You might have a sport you love the most, but you need your friends to play that sport that you love the most. And then therefore you got to play the sports that you like, but don't love.
Yeah.
Just because you want to be around your buddies, and then you need each other in that sense to be successful.
Sure.
If you don't do that, then you're not going to be successful. But hey, I mean, you can always spin things on how you look. Yeah, their success has been pretty awesome for all time.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, and you could probably pinpoint times where the guys that played together, even on your baseball team, it helped that they played together. Maybe it was something they said in the dugout between innings or wherever else it be. Having that familiarity has to help. I mean, I'm sure it does. So,
we've had these kids, most of them since they were 8, and it's I guess the one word I would say is you trust. I trusted so many of them. And when I say trust them, that like I could have pulled – there was one time Gavin Bell, and again, it was kind of weird, but Boston got thrown out of a game this year when he ran over a kid. There was a rundown, and they had obstruction on the kid. He got in his way, but when he ran into him, it basically exploded the kid. And so, I mean, he gets tossed for 2 games. And, we had a JV game that day, so I don't have, we split rosters. And I remember telling Wolf, I'm like, I trust these kids. They've all played so many positions. I had Gavin Bell at third base. Bo was at shortstop.
Yeah.
Bo was at short. Gavin was there playing Howland. And we could still run we could have not missed a beat and run all of our plays because they all knew what to do.
Sure.
And going through it. So like I said, the trust level was really, it was awesome with that aspect of it.
Means a lot. It's got to make you feel good too, Rick. The last year for the 4-division format, you're competing against more teams to win that state title. I think you said 190 in Division
190 teams, yeah.
Yeah, and now next year it's Division 7 division. Will West Branch be a D4 next year, Rick? What do you?
That's what we think. Yeah, we think it'll probably be similar to football.
Okay.
Whatever people. I mean, that's what they're probably thinking it's going to be.
Yeah,
I think we're going to be 4. I don't know exact numbers. I'll care later, but at this point, I was like kind of found it up to not my problem next year. So I just know that there won't be another Division II state baseball championship.
Right, and you're getting the last year. You're competing against more schools, and you got the big prize.
Right. We talked about. They talked about possibly. We thought going in the beginning of the year, Mike, you probably covered some of this, and you guys with Chris, but there was some talk about going to the 7 divisions this spring.
I had heard that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So we were kind of like, hey, are they going to experiment with it for baseball? And we're like, hey, this could be really good.
Yeah.
We're hoping that they go to 7 for us.
Right.
And you know what? Maybe it wouldn't have worked out. So
you never know. Yep. It'll be
interesting. I don't. It doesn't seem to make sense for you guys to do this, but are you surprised? We're hearing a lot about there's more teams wanting to go to Division 1.
Yeah, Fitz has already told us they're going to petition to be D1 in softball so they can defend their title in D1 next year.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can do that. I knew you could do it in football.
Yeah.
You can do it in all sports.
I think it's in all the sports, I believe.
And apparently anybody could do it. I mean, you could be the smallest high school in Ohio, and you might say, hey, we want to be Division 1. You can petition to go to Division 1 wherever you're at. It's really strange stuff.
Well, I heard some there was some Division 7 football schools that were talking about, hey, they could go D1 because they know they'd make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only 17 or 18 in the region.
Right.
So if they go 2 and 8, Division 7, they're going to get in. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're going to play St. Ed's week 1.
That's right.
They can make the playoffs. How crazy that is, right?
That is pretty crazy.
Well, and technically, you could still be in your same conference. So you could stay in the EBC, be Division One, and play against teams in Division 4. It's
pretty wild to think about.
Yeah, I think we'll probably stay right where we're supposed to be.
I would be stunned if I hear you guys go to Division 1.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I don't know who all can see this and what this is going to be on, so I don't even know. But like, I'm biased towards public schools.
Yeah, right.
I have a feeling towards the private schools and how they
the homegrown kids and things like that. Yep.
And I don't want to say anything stupid, but you probably.
No, you're fine. We cover the valley. So
okay.
There you go.
Well, there's a lot of them in the valley, though, Chris.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
yep.
There's a lot of them in the valley.
Right.
I mean, one of them knocked us out in football twice.
Yeah. Yep. No, I understand what you're saying.
Actually, we knocked them out in baseball this year, though. So
that's true. Yeah.
There you go.
I just got to one other fun thing before we take off. It's funny. What's with it with West Branch and great quarterbacks and pitchers? It was interesting. Even from the time I went to high school, there was always a good quarterback. There was always good pitchers. What do you guys do over there? How do you grow them like that? It seems like you always have great.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I don't. And a lot of them that were like Eberling was the quarterback and pitcher.
Right.
Morris exactly. For us.
Yeah.
Right.
Bo.
Yeah.
Fields. I mean, Drew, until he blew his knee out, he was also a pitcher for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Swallow.
Yeah.
Oh, it goes on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, who doesn't like that is pitching coaches and quarterback coaches. They don't want you like, oh, we can't throw. I'm like, hey, because JT actually asked me, he's like, hey, I'm going to go throw. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'm different. I'm one of those guys that say, when you share athletes, share them.
Yeah.
And actually, Bo was what brought up our conversation from a couple weeks ago. Because they said, "Wow, good for you guys that you're doing that with Bo, and good for Bo. He's staying healthy. He's playing well. He was a great quarterback, and everything else. So, yeah, good for you guys."
We were just talking about Bo was a lineman in 7th grade. He was a tight end in 8th grade.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And then he goes to his freshman year. They're like, "Hey, we need somebody to quarterback. Can you quarterback?" And he's like, "All right."
And he makes Ohio first team.
Yeah, how about that?
Was he playing at Walsh? I hear he's going to Walsh. Is he doing for football or baseball?
Baseball.
Okay,
baseball.
Yeah, he had a full ride offer, I believe, for football to Lake Erie.
Right.
But he said all along that it was going to be baseball. So
cool.
He'll pitch, or he might go as a 2-way, to try to Coach Mead.
Okay.
He'll put him in the right spot because Bo played third for us. Don't be wrong, Bo played a great third base for it. I mean,
right.
But you put him at first base, he's really good over there too.
Yeah.
Target. Yep.
So, but I mean, as far as real quick with the coaches in the area, I got home last night. I know you guys are going to call my wife in here. She's in the other room.
Okay.
I had 382 messages, 382 text messages on my phone. In fact, I got up this morning. I haven't left the house, and I still have 56 to go.
Oh my!
Okay.
I got 300 of them in because I want to make sure every person that reached out, I'm going to respond to them.
That's cool, Rick.
But
awesome.
I'm talking, Coach Reese at Mooney and
Ursuline,
Kemp at Ursuline. We actually, the baseball coaches are different in a unique way. You guys maybe not know this. We do so much of our own scheduling.
Yeah.
We have a Northeast Ohio group email to where if I want a game, I just go in there and be like, hey, West Branch is looking for a game today or tomorrow. It needs to be away. It needs to be home. And it goes to all the coaches. And so we're constantly every day just in communication, just as far, that goes. Yeah. So we're, football coaches don't do that. They don't have a email.
Well, we got asked about that this year. That hadn't been crazy this year because the weather was so awful compared to other years, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, in our school, our superintendent, Mickey Egley, she let us play on Sundays. Because there was a few weeks there that was bad, and I'm like, God, we gotta play. And Sunday's been beautiful, and they're like, and then it was funny because as soon as you put out we're allowed to play on Sunday, that was an email. And can anyone play? Someone jumped on us, and then later we're hey, we're also allowed to play. It was
wow.
You know what it's like when snow days. You wait for the first to call off, and as soon as one calls off, it just dominoes them down. That was the same thing. Just waiting for someone to step up, and we did that. She did that. Yeah. She stepped up and said, hey, you guys work hard. You practice a lot. You need to play. It's nice. As long as you give them a day off, like I gave them Saturday off or Monday off, we played on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
yeah, and that turned out pretty well. You got those extra games in.
Right.
You guys actually got, obviously with the tournament you did, but I mean, even the regular season, you had a lot more games than a lot of teams in the area.
Yeah, we filled our whole 27 up.
Yeah.
In fact, that was actually brought up by Wolfie. He's like, how funny is it that we got to play on Sundays in our last game?
Yeah, it was Sunday morning.
Yeah, that's right.
Sunday morning. That we actually were sitting there, we're like, God, we're so glad we get to play at 10 o'clock because typically you don't do that. But we knew our schedule was. We didn't have to wait. We weren't waiting around all day for other games to go.
Yeah.
I mean, we got yelled at yesterday because we wanted to take a picture in front of the scoreboard.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we went out to right field, and they're like, hey, no, you guys get off the field.
There's another game's coming.
Yeah, and Helm and I both made it very clear in obvious ways that we didn't
get that picture.
We're getting a picture.
Yeah. You deserve that picture.
If your next game's 5 minutes late.
That's right.
And I went in the dugout and Mason was coming in, and I told Mason's coach, I'm like, sorry. He's like, no. I said, hey, if you guys win it, take 5 minutes and go get your freaking picture.
That's nice.
Right?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. Well, it's a great story, Rick. It really was. Fantastic.
Yeah. Congratulations and best of luck. Hopefully we'll see you around.
I'm going to be around, Mike. I mean, I've known Mike since what?
Oh, long time.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you were covering Mike were you covering when I was playing?
I was, and I covered West Branch, the first baseball team that made the state. I was a sophomore in high school. I played football. I didn't play baseball, so I got to cover that game, and so I've seen both state title games for West Branch baseball. So I've got that going for me.
Let me ask you this, Mike. Do you know? Yesterday they told me, somebody did, that they think that 51 years ago when they lost the state championship game, that it was also on June 9th.
I'll have to look that up. I know they played at the old ag fields at Ohio State back then. They had the agriculture area before they built Davis Stadium, and that's where West Branch played. They beat the Philo Electrics in the semifinals, Rick. And
you went down. Didn't you ride the bus?
What's that?
Didn't you tell me you rode the bus down?
I did. I didn't have a driver. I was a sophomore in high school. Didn't have a driver's license. So I rode the West Branch team bus, stayed with the team at the Fawcett Center for tomorrow, across from Woody Hayes practice field, and covered the game for the Alliance Review. Yep.
How cool would that be if it was actually on the same day?
Yeah. I'll look that up. That's very possible.
But real quick, and I'll shout out the guy that needs some credit for this. That was is Jeff Woods.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's nobody that was what? Go ahead, Mike.
I saw two of the members from that 73 team at Akron over the weekend. Ron Bandy, who was on that team, and obviously Jeff Woods, who was drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates, a tremendous player on that team. Saw them both up in Akron. So I know that was extra special for them too.
Right. No one wanted us to win. I mean, Jeff was.
Yep.
Yeah.
He wanted to see that.
Yep.
So
he got his wish, as did a lot of people.
Well, I know that. I'm just saying, as Jeff, just being, that local legend that he is around here.
Absolutely.
He was definitely. He texted me before every game. So cool. I'll probably keep him forever.
That's cool.
So,
Rick, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations.
Kudos, congratulations, man. That's what a great career and what a way to go out.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, it's just because of the kids, Mike. Honestly, I mean,
they've got a heck of a manager too.
I'm just they're just so happy that they get to experience this. They'll never forget it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they're always going to be friends. This will make them teammates for life, right here.
There you go.
Yeah,
they've got that bond for life.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks, Rick. Have a great day.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you guys. Anytime.
Thanks, Rick. Yep.
Thank you. See you, Mike.
All right. Rick Mulinix from West Branch. Thanks for coming on. It was kind of a last second get, and we appreciate his flexibility and willingness to come on. All right, Mike, we are up against it. I know you have another obligation. Yeah. Let's take 2 minutes. So there's something else we need to talk about.
Yeah.
The state line football game. Last week you were at the Jack Garvin Football Classic. Just some fun all-star football games to end the year. My goodness, like you said, we're almost getting close to 7-on-7 time. So we're going to start talking about next year before long.
Yes.
But tell me what you know about the state line game and what you have planned. You have some coverage planned for
that? We sure do. They will start their practice sessions this week. Chris, the practices for the Ohio team are going to be at South Range High School. Dave Rout is the South Range coach. He's the Ohio head coach. Tim Cooper of West Branch, I believe, is helping out as an assistant for that game too. But they're going to have their practices this week. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to be doing some interviews. We'll have a preview on the game. We'll have a feature or two on the game. The game is going to be Thursday night, June 20th. It's going to be at Geneva College in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania at 7 o'clock. When the game, it alternates every year between Ohio and PA sites. This is PA's turn to host, and Geneva has hosted every one of the games when it's been played in Pennsylvania. Will be again this year. But we've got a lot of kids in the game. We'll be talking to them this week. We've got Salem kids in the game. We got West Branch kids. We got Boardman kids. You got a lot of kids from the Mahoning Valley. A lot of kids from the Eastern Ohio Athletic Conference are in the game as well. So, we'll be going over there, talking to the coach, talking to some of the kids this week. So, that's always a great game. Unlike a lot of all-star games, Chris, that game, because it's Ohio against Pennsylvania, there's a little more intensity than your typical all-star game. So that's always a fun game to cover.
Yeah, they're playing for something, a little state pride there, I guess.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we'll have that. We'll have some more stuff coming up. It's funny. This is kind of the end of the high school season, but we'll plan on doing some more podcasts. Obviously, there's some news that'll happen over the summer.
Yep.
We'll see some coaches, I'm sure, being hired and some other stuff. Yep. So there'll be some local stuff to talk about. We'll kind of get more into like the Guardians and the Cavs and other stuff like that. Yep. We kind of took a break out with all the big state championship information was out there. So, Mike, thanks for your patience and staying with us. And for Mike, this is Chris. Thanks for checking us out. Have a great day.